Greetings video game fans, it's Friday and that means it's time for another episode of MakeUseOf's Video Game Hub. I am Dave LeClaire, gaming editor from MakeUseOf.com, and I'm here to take you through the top 5 gaming stories of the week. This week we have some pretty big news going down, so kick back, relax, and let's go. Alright, let's kick this episode off with our 5th story of the week, and let's kick it off right with the NPD numbers, which is the group who reports on the sales of video games and video game hardware. We finally have the January numbers, and for Xbox One fanboys, things are not looking good, as the console actually only moved 145,000 units in the month of January. Meanwhile, the PS4 moved 280,000. And if you've been to a store lately, you've probably noticed that the PS4 is actually more supply constrained than the Xbox One. I had a friend who wanted to play the Titanfall beta. He was able to run right out to his local Target, grab an Xbox One, boom, no question. If you're looking for a PS4, it's a little bit harder to find, so it's a little worrisome for Microsoft, but circling back to Titanfall, that is by far the biggest exclusive game released for either console. Granted, it's not fully exclusive, it's on PC, but it's exclusive in that it's not on another console, and that is yet to release yet. That comes out March 11th. When that comes out, we could see a dynamic shift in the sales of the consoles, but only time will tell on that one. Either way, it looks like PS4 is pulling out to an early lead in this console race, but there's still a lot of time left, maybe 7-8 years before the next set of consoles come out, so there's plenty of time. Also, we have the top 10 game sales of the month. These are the games that move the most units, and generally it's more disc-based because it's hard to track digital, but number 10, we have Tomb Raider, which is available on pretty much every platform under the sun. Then we have Lego Marvel Superheroes coming in at number 9. FIFA 14 bringing it up at number 8. Minecraft on the Xbox 360 coming in at number 7. Madden NFL 25 coming in at number 6. People obviously love them some Madden. GTA 5 still continuing to sell well, coming in at number 5. That game just has legs. Assassin's Creed 4 coming in at number 4. Battlefield 4 coming in at number 3. NBA 2K14 number 2. And no surprise, still the best-selling game, Call of Duty Ghosts. There you go. That is a lot of game sales. Speaking of game sales, things are not all bad over in Xbox One land, because they actually have a very, very high attach rate. They're estimating 2.7 games sold per console sold. So that's pretty good to start with when you consider there really aren't that many games available on the Xbox One right now. You have Dead Rising and Forza. I assume those are two that a lot of people are getting. People probably upgrading their Call of Duty Ghost to a next-gen version, and that's pretty much all there is right now. But nonetheless, that's a very solid attach rate, and that's something for Microsoft to hang their hat on while they kind of struggle to catch up to Sony in terms of sales. And there's your NPD numbers for January. Alright, let's keep things moving with our 4th story of the week, and that is the introduction of Steam tags, which seems like a very harmless and small little thing done by Steam to help users kind of organize the Steam marketplace, which is constantly getting flooded with new games, and it can become hard to find the games that you want. But of course, as anything in the gaming world, it turned into a big thing. People tagging games, things like Not a Game for games like Gone Home and Walking Simulator, and of course this upset fans of the game. And it's kind of weird because it's just a tagging system designed to help you find games. Now, and to say that Gone Home is a walking simulator is really not that far off from what Gone Home is. You go into the house, you walk around, you find little story elements about your sister and her relationship, and that's what happens. It is a walking simulator in many ways. And for someone looking to buy the game, if they think maybe they're going to go home and find their house infested with zombies and they're going to be shooting them, they're going to be surprised when they find out that nothing like that happens at any point in the game. So, now I love Gone Home, so don't take me as insulting Gone Home. I think it's a beautiful story, but it kind of is a walking simulator. DayZ, another example that people are tagging with this walking simulator tag that everybody's talking about. In DayZ, you spend a lot of time walking. Yeah, you'll occasionally run into zombies or other humans, but in the alpha state of the game, it's kind of an empty world, and you walk a lot. So, the tags are actually a good thing if used properly. They will help you find things on the Steam store that suit your taste. You know, a tag is zombies. So if you like zombie games, you click the zombie tag and you're going to see all different kinds of games about zombies. And that's good. So it just depends on how people are using it. Now, it does require multiple users to enter a tag before it shows up as a public tag. You can tag your own games anything you want and you just organize your own library. But in order for others to see the tag, it does have to be tagged multiple times by multiple people, which kind of helps to organize the system. And that walking simulator tag is actually one of the more used tags on Steam, and it's showing up in a lot of games. And I think it's a good thing. I think that Steam needs to regulate it and make sure that people are using the tags properly and not going crazy and making tags about games that aren't true. For example, there was a bad port was tagged to Far Cry 3. And Far Cry 3's PC port is actually not a bad port at all, but multiple people are putting that tag so it surfaces to the top. Stuff like that needs to be regulated because it's not true. But for the most part, if used correctly, Steam tags are going to be nothing but a good thing, and it's another way to make the Steam store more easy to navigate, and works for me, right? Work for you? Of course it does. Moving right along to our third story of the week, and this is a good one. Tony Hawk is coming back. That's right. On his radio show, Tony Hawk said that they're working on a new game, and Activision has since confirmed that they are in fact working on the new game with Tony Hawk. Activision is the publisher who put out all the other Tony Hawk games. They gave the game a break. It needed it because sales were going down. The game itself wasn't that good. I personally think that Skate became a better game than Tony Hawk. But it's been long enough that the fans are kind of clamoring. The HD remake of Tony Hawk performed fairly well and got people excited. So I think now is actually the perfect time to bring Tony Hawk back. Now it sounds like they're still in the early stages of the game, so we probably won't see anything until 2015. But personally, I could not be more excited to go back and play another Tony Hawk game. I didn't play any of the ones that involved standing on an actual skateboard and hopping around while you play. So the last one I played was many years ago, and I'm certainly ready to get back in it again and give it another chance. Let's just hope it's good. Alright, let's keep it moving and jump into our number 2 story of the week this week. And that is that Harmonix, the company known for the Rock Band franchise, is going to be launching a free-to-play first-person shooter. That's right, Harmonix. Guitar Hero and Rock Band. First-person shooter. Now, of course, they're not abandoning their roots by any means because it's going to be a music-based first-person shooter where the music in the game is going to play an integral role in the game. So for example, some of the guns will only shoot on the downbeat, and there's all kinds of mechanics like that where music actually directly plays into the shooting. Now this is going to be weird for shooter fans who are used to, I point my gun at person, I pull trigger, person gets shot. It may not happen in this case if your timing is not right with the music. But it's definitely an interesting change from the typical first-person shooters. We're seeing Titanfall come along, which is bringing some changes in the form of giant mechs. This is a much more dramatic shift in the way first-person shooters are played, and I think it could be pretty cool. And it's going to be free to play, so there's no reason not to give it a shot. They are taking sign-ups for their closed alpha right now, so if this game is something that interests you and you do want to get in and try a music-based first-person shooter from probably the best music game creating team out there, you can sign up for the alpha and you might get in, and then you have a non-disclosure agreement, so you can't actually come and tell me how it is, but once that's lifted, you can let the world know whether or not you love it or hate it, and hopefully when this game comes out, it will be good, because there's one thing Harmonix is known for, it's quality. Pretty much everything they've put their brand on is good, and I highly doubt they would make this game come along and have it be garbage, but it's all going to come down to balance, and we'll see how that works out when the game comes out. Time to move on to our number 1 story of the week this week, and unfortunately this week it is not a happy story. The creators of BioShock Infinite, Irrational Games, are shutting down. Kind of at what sounds like at the choice of their owner, Ken Levine. Basically what he said is he wants to go make smaller, more narrative-focused and replayable games. Now BioShock and BioShock Infinite is obviously very narrative-focused, but it's not replayable at all. When you finish BioShock, you finish BioShock. So it sounds almost like he wants to make like a Telltale kind of game. Because Telltale games, while very narrative driven, are also replayable because you can go back and make different choices every time. It also could be something in like the roguelike genre, because you could make a narrative focused roguelike, but it still has infinite replayability because every time you go back the levels are different. It's hard to say exactly what he wants to do, it's so early right now, but what it comes down to is the studio is shutting down. So everyone who worked for it has unfortunately been laid off, with the exception of 15 people who are coming with Ken Levine to his new studio where he's going to work on these smaller, downloadable, focused games. So that's a lot of people without jobs. 2K and Take-Two and Ken Levine have said that they're going to do everything they can to assist the job finding of the people who have been laid off. So hopefully that all goes well. That's a lot of very talented developers who have shipped multiple quality games now looking for jobs, and that's good for other companies who need some talented people. So hopefully they all get jobs and everything works out well. Hopefully whatever Ken Levine is working on ends up being good. He has a fantastic pedigree with BioShock and everything else that Irrational has done. So coming into a whole new thing, will this game be a shooter? Pretty much everything he's ever worked on is a shooter, although granted not always with the best shooting mechanics, because they're sometimes more narrative focused and the shooting is kind of taking a back seat, at least in my opinion. So we'll see, is he going to make a shooter? Is he going to make something point and clicky? Is he going to make a roguelike, an RPG? There's a lot of possibilities of what he could do. Unfortunately, as this is going to be made by a small team, we're probably going to be waiting at least 2 years before we see anything, or at least get to play it. We'll probably see something in maybe a year and a half, maybe E3 2015, something will be announced. But he is staying under the Take-Two 2K umbrella. He was going to go out and start his own company, and they said, no, why don't you stay here with us? Because at this point, Ken Levine does carry a lot of name value in the video game industry, and his name is synonymous with quality games, so that's kind of how it's going down. It's very unfortunate that a lot of people lost their jobs, but hopefully they all land on their feet and they end up getting jobs at other studios and they can make something creative, and we as gamers get to play some awesome new games from these people, and hopefully Ken Levine makes an awesome game that we get to play and everybody wins. It's so hard to say goodbye to you, the fans of Video Game Hub, but this episode is over and it is time for us to move on. We've made it through the top 5 stories of the week yet again, and we will be back next Friday counting down the top 5 stories of this coming week. So make sure you're here to watch that. Make sure you click the subscribe button, which I'm going to conveniently put right here, so that you never miss another episode of Video Game Hub and all the other video content that we put out at Make Use Of, including our product reviews, how-to videos, and all kinds of other good stuff. So click that subscribe button and come back every week for Video Game Hub and all the other good stuff. And I will see you next week.